My name is Elena. I'm 34 years old. My husband's name is Daniel. He is 43. We have been married for 12 years, and we have an 8-year-old son named Oliver. There was a time when we were truly close. We had simple traditions that made us happy. Every evening, we would sit together with a cup of tea, talk about our day, laugh, and look at each other with warmth. Those quiet moments felt like home. But over the past few months, something shifted. Daniel comes home from work, eats dinner without saying much, turns on the television, and goes to bed. On weekends, he says he has meetings, plays golf, or stays inside his home office for hours. He's a manager at his company and works with many people. I used to help him with paperwork and finances, but now I stay home with our son. He no longer allows anyone to assist him. He says he trusts no one. The evenings that once felt alive are now silent. No tea, no conversations, just the sound of the TV and the distance growing between us. Last week, I asked my mother to take Oliver for the night. I thought maybe Daniel simply needed rest. Maybe he needed space. That evening, I cooked his favorite meal and waited. He came home late, ate quietly, and went straight to bed without really looking at me. The next morning, even though it was the weekend, he left early again. I sat alone in the kitchen with a cup of cold tea. The house felt unfamiliar, like I no longer belonged there. That night, I decided I couldn't stay silent anymore. I prepared dinner again. I wore the blue dress he once said he loved. I fixed my hair, added a little makeup, and waited. When he walked in, he looked exhausted. He sat down and ate without noticing anything different. My heart was racing, but I forced myself to speak. "Can we talk?" I asked softly. He seemed surprised. "Now?" "Yes, please." We sat on the couch. I tried to stay calm, even though tears filled my eyes. "You've changed," I said quietly. "We don't talk anymore. You don't smile at me. I feel invisible." He looked down and stayed silent for a moment. Finally, I asked the question that had been haunting me. "Do you still love me?" He looked tired, but his voice was steady. "Of course I do. I'm just overwhelmed. Work is stressful. I have too much on my mind." I nodded, but doubt remained. "Is there someone else?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He looked shocked. "No, never. I don't have time for that. I'm just busy. Please be patient with me." He reached for my hand and promised he would try to change. I wanted to believe him, so I said I would wait. Days turned into weeks, but nothing improved. He still came home late. He still ate in silence. I tried to be understanding. I reminded myself that he said he loved me. I even suggested a short weekend trip for just the two of us. "Not now," he replied. "Maybe next month." One evening, as I sat alone in the dark, I whispered to myself, "Why does love feel so lonely?" I began looking at old photos. Our wedding day, our honeymoon, the smiles we once shared. I wondered where that version of us had gone. One night, after he returned home and went straight into his office without a word, I stood outside the closed door. I almost knocked, but I didn't. I walked away instead, carrying a cup of tea that quickly grew cold in my hands. For the first time, I asked myself whether we were still a married couple or simply two people living under the same roof. The following morning, I woke up to an empty space beside me. Daniel had already left for work. No kiss on my forehead, no quiet goodbye, just a cold pillow and a quiet room. I stared at the ceiling for a long time, feeling something inside me slowly fading. It wasn't anger anymore. It was exhaustion, the kind that settles deep in your heart. I got up, made breakfast for Oliver, and tied his shoelaces like I always did. I smiled, laughed, asked him about school. To him, I was the same mother. But inside, I felt like I was disappearing. That evening, I tried again. I stood near the door before Daniel came home. When he walked in, I forced a gentle smile. "Would you like to go for a short walk?" I asked softly. He loosened his tie and sighed. "Not tonight. I have work to finish." I nodded, pretending I understood. But the truth was, I was slowly breaking. Later that night, while he was inside his office, I opened the closet and packed a small suitcase. Just a few. Clothes for me and Oliver. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud. Then I sat at the kitchen table and wrote him a letter. I told him I still loved him, that I wasn't leaving out of hatred or anger. I was leaving because I couldn't survive feeling invisible anymore. I reminded him that marriage requires two hearts, not one carrying all the weight. I wrote that I had waited with patience. I had trusted his promises, but waiting alone had become too painful. When I finished, my tears had stained the paper. I left the letter where he would see it and quietly walked out, holding my son's small hand in mine. The night air felt heavy, but at the same time, I felt a strange sense of strength. I wasn't running away. I was protecting my heart. At my mother's house, the days were calm but heavy. A week later, Daniel called. His voice sounded softer than usual. He said he missed us. He said the house felt empty without our laughter. He promised he was ready to fix everything. I wanted to believe him, for our son, for the years we had shared. So I went back. For a short time, things seemed normal. He came home a little earlier. He spoke a little more. I allowed myself to hope. Then one quiet evening, after putting Oliver to bed, I walked into the living room. Daniel had left his phone on the table while he went to shower. I had no intention of touching it. I never checked his phone before. But suddenly, the screen lit up. A message appeared from a woman whose name I didn't recognize. "I miss you. Did you think about me today?" My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it in my ears. My fingers felt numb. I didn't open the message. I didn't scroll. I didn't need details. Those few words were enough to answer months of silence. When Daniel came out of the bathroom, he looked relaxed, almost peaceful. I looked at him differently for the first time. Not with love, not with anger, but with clarity. That night, he slept deeply beside me. I stared into the darkness, tears sliding silently across my face. I thought about the 12 years we had built together, the sacrifices, the dreams, the promises. I had given him my youth, my loyalty, my trust. And somewhere along the way, he had given his attention to someone else. The next morning, I didn't scream. I didn't throw accusations. I simply asked him to sit down. "I saw a message," I said calmly. He froze. For a moment, he looked like a stranger. Then his shoulders dropped. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." He didn't deny it, and that hurt more than anything. The distance, the late nights, the cold dinners, they all made sense now. "I need space," I told him. "Not because I hate you, but because I need to remember my own worth." That evening, I packed again. This time, my movements were steady. My tears were quieter. I took Oliver's hand, just like before, and walked out. It was the hardest decision of my life. But sometimes love is not enough to heal betrayal. Sometimes choosing yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. I chose peace, even if it meant walking away from the man I once believed I would grow old beside.